Kudvach, thank you for joining us again. Birshus, and with the permission of friends old and new. Tonight, we, of course, begin where we left off. Tonight, we'll do two Mishnayos. Mishnayos Ches and Tes, which is basically 8 and 9. Yehuda ben Tabai, Vishim ben Shetach, Kibun Mehem. Yehuda ben Tabai, Vishim ben Shetach, they acquired it from them. Who did they acquire it from? Yeshua ben Prakhi, V'nitayor Bailey. Al ta'as עצמך, excuse me, Yehuda ben Tabai says, Al ta'as עצמך כעורכי הדינים, don't make yourself like those who arrange the law. You הדין עומדים לבניך, and it is, and it will be when the litigants stand before you in the dock of judgment. They should both appear as if they are wicked. And after a verdict is rendered, they should both be viewed as if they are innocent. When they acquire for themselves on themselves the judgment. The next Mishnah is Shimon ben Shetach. Shimon ben Shetach says, tarry long in the investigation of witnesses, and be very careful and scrupulous with your words. From them, maybe they will learn how to lie. Let's analyze. I think today we're going to be discussing about leaders who are no more than any other man. Because, as you know, it says in Chazal, in Tzaddik, there is no perfectly righteous individual in the world that only does justice and righteousness and has never, ever transgressed a sin. In fact, when it comes to talking about leaders in Klal Yisrael in our community, the prophet Yeshayahu tells us the following: "Vayiyu mi'ashnei ha'am hazeh mat'im u'miushrov mevulaim." The guides of this people mislead, and the guided ones are devoured. No one is perfect. Alexander Pope, famous poet, once said, "Born but to die, and reasoning but to err, the proper study of mankind is man." Learned men, wise men, scholastic men, sophisticated men, pious men, legal men, righteous men, leaders, rabbis, judges, moralists, lawyers, judges. The list goes on. This Mishnah is speaking directly to judges and lawyers. Al ta'as עצמך כעורכי הדינים. Do not make yourself like those who arrange the law. The goal of justice is truth-seeking. And our Mishnah comes to teach us, don't be like those who manipulate the law to achieve an unjust end. Al ta'as עצמך כעורכי הדינים. Now, I have very much stayed away from the history of all of the individuals that we have been discussing thus far. And thus, that would make these shiurim, or these mini shiurim, much, much longer. But here in this instance, I'd like to mention a few things about Yehuda ben Tabai and Shimon ben Shetach. You see, Yehuda ben Tabai, he lived in a great upheaval between the Sadducees and the Pharisees, between the Tzdukim and the Frushim, of which he was associated as the Pharisee. And during this period of time, in the time of Alexander Yanai and Shlomtzina Malka, Yehuda ben Tabai was the Av Bezdin. And when he was the Av Bezdin, the head of the Supreme Court, the head of the Sanhedrin, it came a case before him of somebody who had plotted. And one of the witnesses had sworn falsely, and he was uprooted in his testimony, and they found out that he had done this maliciously. And Yehuda ben Tabai had ruled that this individual should be sentenced to death. But the Chachamim, the wise men, had opposed to saying that you cannot sentence somebody to death unless you have a minimum of 2 witnesses. But Yehuda ben Tabai, he insisted upon the verdict, and the man was sentenced to death. Shimon ben Shetach, his counterpart, who who was the Nasi and the brother-in-law of Alexander Yanai and the brother of Shlomo Amalka, he said the following: May I not live to see the consolation of Yerushalayim and the restoration of its buildings if you have not spilled innocent blood. Yehuda ben Tabai, when he heard this statement from his counterpart, Shimon ben Shetach, he suffered great regret and sorrow. And for the rest of his life, Chazal tell us, Miyad Kibel alav Yehuda ben Tabai, immediately he accepted upon himself, She'eino moira halacha ela bifnei Shimon ben Shetach, that he would never rule again unless Shimon ben Shetach was at his side. What did Yehuda ben Tabai do over sentencing this man to death? Kol yamav hayim mishtateach al kivro shel oisa harug. Every day he would go in front of and bow and prostrate himself and cry over this particular person's grave. V'haya koilom nishma, and his voice could be heard, bebechi b'tza'akos, with cries and tears and screams. He would constantly request the forgiveness of this man that he wronged, that was killed as a result of him investing. Ka'oרכי hadayonim. Altas עצמך כעורכי hadayonim. Don't make yourself like those who rearrange the law. Archei, orech din, is a lawyer in Hebrew. What or where does this word come from? So some maintain that this word archi is a Greek word archi, which means chief and supreme. Yehuda ben Tabai, when he says altas עצמך כעורכי hadayonim, he's saying don't make yourself into the arch justicer. You are not the judge, jury, and executioner. Don't try to manipulate other judges in order to come to your way of thinking. There is usually a minimum of 3 judges. It's not the be-all, end-all with you. Don't try to convince others or even the litigants themselves. Yehuda ben Tabai is teaching us that you only need me. I'm the only guy. Who cares? We don't need anybody else. Don't be an archi. Don't be an arch-justicer. And you know why? According to Chazal, if any judge really does justice, any judge who judges according to halacha and according to the way it should be, he becomes a partner with God. Because the world was created with din and then also rachamim. Because every single judge, the Gemara tells us, could not become a judge on the Sanhedrin unless he was married. And why was that? And had children. Because if you don't have children and if you're not married, you don't really truly knows what it means to know mercy for another individual. So a minimum requirement for a judge was that he had to be married and had children. Because no matter what your justice was, tzedek, tirdov, why the double terminology of justice thou shalt pursue, righteousness thou shalt pursue. Because the double terminology says that even justice needs to be pursued with justice. You must come to the table, you must come to the bench with justice, compassion combined. Al ta'as עצמך כעורכי hadayonim. Don't arrange the judges, or don't arrange the judgment. I'd like to suggest that in today's modern times we see many people who come to Bezdin. And when they come to Bezdin, the most favored method is what's called zablo. Ze borer lo echad. And frequently, I have personally encountered the following dilemma. Some litigant is summoned to a Bezdin. The Bezdin that the litigant is summoned to is not what he would consider a favorable Beis Din. So therefore, the question to me is usually, how do I get out of this Beis Din and go to another Beis Din? So don't be like those who arrange another Beis Din. Ka'oרכי hadayanim. I would then be arranging who? The dayanim, the judges. So al ta'as עצמך כעורכי hadayanim. Yes. Don't do any of those things. Comes along Shimon ben Shetach, his counterpart, to, and what does he say? Shimon ben Shetach says, Havi mrbe לחקר העדים, והוי זהיר בדבריך, שמא מתוכם ילמדו לחקר. Shimon ben Shetach, the counterpart to Yehuda ben Tabai, he also, in his personal history, had an incident of false witnesses. You see, the Sadducees attempted to uproot Shimon ben Shetach and get revenge on him for a case in which he ordered 70 witches hanged. So in order to get back, the witches' relatives brought to the Sadducees and bought false testimony against Shimon ben Shetach's son. And Shimon ben Shetach's son was ruled and sentenced to death. So he too had personal involvement in these particular matters, especially when it comes to what happens in a court of law. I'd like to suggest Shimon ben Shetach says, and I heard this once, and I cannot recall at this moment where I heard it from. Mrbe לחקר העדים. Make sure that you are very careful and tarry long in the investigation of witnesses. והוי זהיר בדבריך. And be careful and scrupulous in your language. That's not what it means. Shimon ben Shetach is talking about the mensch himself, the man himself. Havei mrbe לחקר. Tarry long? No. Havei mrbe. There is a lot. לחקר העדים. Investigative witnesses. Who are these investigative witnesses that there are a lot of? And what is he talking about? When you come to the Beis Din Shalmaila in the end of days, and you stand before the dock of God, and there the prosecuting angel points a finger and brings the newsreel of everything that is recorded. Be careful in your words. And you say, and what is your saying? You say, well, who is the witnesses to all of these things? And the prosecuting angel says, Shimon and Shmerel. And you say, well, Shimon and Shmerel, they're dead too. And you know what? Dead witnesses can't bear testimony. Well, you know what? The prosecuting angel says, no, you don't get it. In the Beis Din Shalmaila, there are a lot of witnesses. The walls of your home. Oh yes, they're recording everything. Everything you do is recorded. Everything. And they stand as the witnesses. So therefore, when you come to the Beis Din Shalmaila and you say there should be no witnesses, there'll be many witnesses. Many witnesses who will give testimony. And therefore, Shimon ben Shetach says, "Ve'hevi zayir b'dvarecha." Be very careful, not just b'dvarecha in your words, b'dvarecha, b'dvarim shalcha, in the things that you do. Good for